So, Dan, YouTube hit Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes hours after rejoining. And so they created new accounts in which they would get their account, they can't have their YouTube channels restored. So we know a little bit about this. We've been through the censorship, suppression.
Mhm.
We're veterans.
We are literally I think the most explicit channel that was taken down under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
We were getting like 2,000, 3,000 people a live stream, and then all of a sudden we were maxed out.
Yep.
And for 6 months for talking about COVID when that was starting.
Yep, exactly. So what I want to know, and I think what I want to be very clear is that, when all of this was going down, we managed to stay afloat. Now, I have my differing opinions of Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes. And when Alex Jones was taken down in 2018 on all of his social media platforms, we were on radio. And we told people, please don't be celebrating this because this could happen to you. And it's so easy how the copyright system, the copyright strike system, the YouTube termination, censorship, all of this can be easily weaponized by faceless and other main accounts. And it's just this is the true thing that we've been yelling about for a very long time. And I'm hoping that people will hear us out and remember that Hardlands Media, not only have we survived it, but we are still deep in this fight. And Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes, in my opinion, while I disagree with them, should have their channels fully restored.
Yeah, I know. I'm always happy that like when this stuff happens, you can look back at Hardlands Media and see that we made the consistent take.
Mm-hmm.
When this happened, we said it wasn't a good idea. We were really worried about, oh man, if this happens, it's gonna be everyone. Is back then it was right around Sandy Hook. That was when that was happening with that, and everyone was cheering him getting taken down. And we were like, this is not good. This sets a precedent. Sure, it's someone you don't like right now, but it's all about the precedent that gets set. And then soon after, well, everyone that wasn't carrying the right line had their channels, let's say, grievously harmed.
Yep, exactly. And in turn, just how it goes on. So continuing on, many on the right have been expecting a flood of reinstated accounts. Good luck, that's not going to happen. Representative Jim Jordan, the Republican chair of the House Oversight Committee, shared a letter earlier this week from YouTube's parent company where Alphabet said it would give creators who are banned for repeat violations of COVID-19 and elections-related content policies that are no longer in effect the chance to rejoin. Jordan, appearing to overstate the extent of the company's commitments, wrote on X on Tuesday that the change would offer all creators previously kicked off YouTube due to political speech violations a return to the platform. YouTube wrote on X on Thursday the reinstatement effort hadn't begun yet. Okay, so maybe Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes did jump the gun, but I know that YouTube can move fast if it wants to, right, Dan?
Well, this is hard for them because I'm sure that they did the deletions in such a way so they weren't able to get them back easily. And I'm sure YouTube, again, it's this thing that happens that I'm realizing with humans when they act is that back when YouTube did this, their intention was to wipe everything out, clean it under the rug, make it go away. And so I doubt they carried many backups. And I know YouTube, after they delete your channel, after about 45 days, the system goes and just clears out that cache. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get this back when I'm not even convinced they have any of this content still there, even though they're technically supposed to do that.
Technically. So, when we almost faced our own termination, hell, how many times now? But our most recent one, speed is the key. And, we gave a huge warning to a lot of people like, hey, this is what's happening. And, thanks to social media posts, thanks to people standing in solidarity with us, we're able to hold the ground and, at least get our channel back. Because look, when you are in this day and age where people can easily weaponize or ease it at outside forces, because it's already been shown that the Biden-Harris administration was reaching out to Alphabet and Google, just like how they're reaching out to X and Facebook about taking down the Hunter Biden laptop stories, that they had influence over YouTube going after content creators. And whether you're on the left or on the right, This is where there has to be true solidarity here. And I know that people are all hypercharged and are in their corners, but get over yourselves for a quick minute, because if we don't put aside our differences, everybody's going to lose everything. And I want to pull something else here. Alex Jones and Fuentes may not be eligible to rejoin under the program, even when it does get going. Jones was taken off YouTube before the pandemic in 2018 for violations including hate speech and child endangerment, and Fuentes was banned in 2020 for hate speech. Nonetheless, some criticized the moves to remove their channel. The Trump administration ally and Ohio gubernatorial candidate Vivek Ramaswamy compared the removals to the temporary suspension of late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, who was also briefly taken off air following pressure from the Trump administration.
I
So,
just want to say on that was, man, I wish I would have talked more about the Jimmy Kimmel thing, because it's crazy that I think that someone put it real. It's like the people that were saying that.
oh, Dan. Oh, I think we froze Dan. Hold on. I'll wait for him to come back, because Daniel got frozen. Oh, he's back now.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're back again.
Okay,
Yes, you're
good.
back again.
Okay. So yeah, I was just saying that with Jimmy Kimmel, it's super interesting to see the people. Well, imagine the Venn diagram. How much is the overlap of people that were like, cancel culture is great a couple years ago, and now they're like, oh my God, firing someone from a private job is really bad. Now I get it. It's a lot more complicated. I'm drastically oversimplifying the whole situation, but it's like these things write themselves. It's like Jimmy Kimmel was the guy that was cheering on other channels, other shows getting shut down and canceled. And when it was him in power, it was a wonderful thing. And yay, hooray, though Tucker Carlson deserves to be kicked off air. But when it's Jimmy, it's a existential threat. And it's what's interesting is that I'm sort of realizing is a lot of people outside the US get their news from commentary shows like Kimmel on YouTube. So from what I understand, actually the biggest audience for Kimmel to some degree is Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, if you understand, like in the US, everything's kind of really crazy anyway.
Right.
And there's two main stories as to what's happening in the world, but we're aware that there are two main stories. Whereas in Europe, where we're watching a lot more free speech getting censored, especially in the UK, where if you put a tweet up that people don't like, you can literally go to jail. It's super fascinating to hear, because I've been listening to a lot of the feedback on that. It's crazy to hear about the amount of Europeans who are like, yeah, I get my news on what's happening in the US from Jimmy Kimmel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this might explain. It's like, so the fact that Europe is getting CNN, NBC, and watching Jimmy Kimmel on YouTube, it might explain why they have certain perspectives.
Exactly. And look, I understand where everyone's coming from with this, especially like, talking about people like Jimmy Kimmel or Nick Fuentes or Alex Jones. But the bigger picture is not these individuals. The bigger picture is overall what we're allowed to say, speak, and also how we can avoid to make sure that this system doesn't get weaponized to hurt content creators, because we know a little bit of something about that. So I want to pull up this video here from Mr. Vivek Ramaswamy himself.
This is a message for the leadership of YouTube. Frankly, I probably could have called you privately, but I think it's better to just talk about the open.
Can I have that number?
Yeah,
I would love to have that number.
That's literally what I was going to say too. It's like, you got a direct line with YouTube. Even top creators don't have that.
Yeah, folks, there's no guarantee that when you speak, if you're just starting off in this business or even have 1 million subscribers, there's no guarantee you're speaking to a human being at YouTube. No guarantee.
Open on this particular issue. My understanding is in the last 24 hours, you locked the accounts and shut down the accounts of two guys, Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones. They have big followings on the American right. I think it's better if you just unlock those accounts and let the guys be heard. And I say this not because I'm some particular fan or vice versa. At least one of them, Nick, is probably not a particularly big fan of mine. No more than Jimmy Kimmel is, by the way, for very different reasons. That's beside the point. It doesn't matter. The reason I'm asking you to do it is that censorship isn't good for America. It's antithetical to our culture. And we're the country on God's green earth where we're able to talk to each other in the open. And I want to credit.
Now, I would love to live in that world, but I have not seen it. And I know for a fact that there's a lot of disturbed individuals who just like to, I don't know, weaponize censorship. There's institutions that were supporting censorship. I remember the last 4 years. So many people screamed from the rooftop, Daniel. Do you remember those people?
I do. I think it's so. This is kind of the thought. You know how and I think this helped me understand the situation better, at least in my own mind. You know how they say we have issues with democracy,
Yes.
but I think that the adage "democracy is the worst form of government except all the others that have been tried" is very apt of a way of thinking about the situation regarding censorship or truth bureaus. The reality is that, let me find this. This is okay. So Kit, I pulled this example of someone else. What is the letter that you see right here? Actually, wait, no, that's actually literally the worst possible one to do this with because it kind of destroys my joke.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. What is the letter that you see right here?
It looks like it says R.
Let me zoom in a little more so you can see it.
That's so blurry, dude. R.
It sort of destroys the joke. It's the L side, so it's the left.
Okay.
And
left.
so you're supposed to say left, and I was going to go, no, you moron, it's right, because
Okay.
the other side of it is an R. And this is, I think, the best way to describe how a lot of people look at the world today. I think a six-sided dice is the example I like to use. I just don't have one in front of me. But the idea is that everyone's looking at the same thing, but we're looking at it from other sides.
Mhm.
Both sides have arguments. Both sides have strengths and weaknesses to this argument. Any one side. It's like saying a six-sided die is the number one, or someone saying a six-sided die is the number six. Both answers are technically true. It's just a matter of how you put it together and what direction you're looking at something from. And this is true with just humans in general and how the human mind works. So one person's truth is another person's abject lie. And so the worst thing you can do, I think, is to have someone that comes up and goes, I know what the objective truth is. It's one. It's not six. The best outcome is just to have people constantly arguing about whether it's one or six. Because if you shut down conversation, well, you create a whole separate economy. I mean, the whole reason a big reason I think Trump got elected in the first place is the Democrats kicked out so many people out of the Democratic Party when they thought they were winning. And we went through a lot of that sort of treatment that they just ended up creating a voting bloc that was so big that they all moved over to Republicans. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in many regards, and we're just watching it happen. So sure, Jimmy Kimmel comes back. It doesn't change the fact that he has no ratings. It doesn't change the fact that his channel, his show is not going to get renewed likely because it's losing a huge amount of money. It also doesn't change the fact that it's not on air in most of the places because I think it's Sinclair and that other company are still blocking it.
Absolutely.
So, but I agree with Vivek on this is that, if the worst thing you can do is have someone decide what's right and wrong. Everyone has to continually fight for what is right or wrong from their perspective. And in a sense, the Gestalt consciousness of the human race will determine in the moment whether it's true or not. It shouldn't be individuals.
Agreed.
YouTube and Google and your parent company and so much of your competitors in Silicon Valley for creating the first instance of the free and open internet with search engines. It's a beautiful thing for democratizing speech. But I think we take a step in the wrong direction when we choke those same technologies that allow us to access open debate and open ideas. It breeds discontent. It breeds frustration. It actually breeds mistrust. If you tell people they can't speak, that's when they scream. And if you tell people they can't scream, that's when they tear things down. So I think free speech is a precondition for peace. It's a precondition for the scientific method. It's a precondition for our shared unity, our shared national identity as Americans. Now, I can understand why you might think that certain types of speech or certain things that are said that are hurtful to other people or that may spread misinformation or may they count as violent or dangerous threats shouldn't be allowed on your platform. I personally take a broad view of what type of speech is an expression of an opinion that's protected, but that's a separate discussion. about whether somebody says a particular thing that you think doesn't belong on your platform. That's one category of speech moderation. There's a different category of saying that you may demonetize certain people. You're not going to pay them, that even if they're able to speak on your platform, it's not necessarily their right to be paid for doing so or putting advertisers next to their name. That's a separate discussion. Personally, I don't like any of those forms of speech suppression as a general matter, but at least those are discussions that reasonable minds can have. There's a whole separate third category of censorship, though, that I think is particularly harmful, which is the idea that just because of who you are, your name and who you are, you don't get to express any idea, whether it's misinformation, hateful speech, whether it's dangerous or whatever you deem it to be. Irrespective of that, you're not making that judgment. Just based on who you are, you don't get to speak. I think that breeds mistrust. I don't think that's good for our country. There's legal arguments to be had. I've made legal arguments elsewhere in my books, in Wall Street Journal pieces, and there are legal arguments that you could construct that say that if a tech company is protected by Section 230, a government-created shield of immunity, that if a tech company is responding, even indirectly, to the threats of government officials, maybe that is actually even a legal First Amendment violation. That's not even what I'm talking about right now. What I'm talking about is not a legal point, it's just a cultural point. It's the question of whether this is good or bad for America. And I think we live in a moment right now where when we tell people, whether it's the government or even a powerful company, when you tell people that because of who you are, you deserve not to be heard.
All right, and these are nice flowery words. We've heard this before. We've heard this kind of talk before. And look, I understand where he's getting at, but my issue is that the systems are already in place for people to get hit. The systems are already put in place for people to get hit by a system that has no human input. Is that? I hope that's clear to a lot of people, because when dealing with YouTube or any online platform, in the aftermath of people who are so triggered by Donald Trump, you helped create something in which not only you yourselves are going to be hit, but also maybe content creators that you like, and how easy it is for people to lose their livelihoods. There are channels that we know who are on the left and on the right that are still permanently demonetized and terminated.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've always been really happy about with Hard Lens is that even our audience, we have a really big split. We have people that support Trump, people that support the Green Party in our audience. And I've always found that that's kind of the best judge, I would say, of how well we're doing in our content. I feel like, at least my idea and the role of Hard Lens is, we're sort of this spot where we don't really pick a side on which side. We just we're stuck with the issues. We have our ideals. We stick to them. And we've learned over the long time we've been broadcasting that we can hold a position and that'll be shared with Democrats. And then 4 years later, it'll be shared with Republicans. And then 4 more years later, it goes back to Democrats. It's like everyone's meandering in this. It's like right now, Vivek's doing that. He's running for Ohio governor. He seems to be doing okay. I was sort of just kind of glancing to see how he's doing. Seems to be doing fine. So like the Republicans are in power right now. They control the mess. They have the government. They control the message. So it's really, really easy. And it makes a lot of sense for them to go, yeah, free speech is wonderful and great and all these different things. Especially right now, because they control the power, the momentum's on their side. And they've been somewhat consistent in the past. But I mean, it's been really crazy to watch Democrats flip so openly on the issue of censorship. It went from, hey, well, you said something that had malinformation, so we got to destroy your livelihood and your life because we don't agree with your interpretation of the data, to, oh my God, an individual being fired from a private company is horrible. By the way, did you see the South Park episode on this that just came out?
No, I have not. I have not seen that episode.
It's pretty good.
All right, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out. Now, go ahead.
So from my point of view, I think that both sides always need to be arguing with each other. And the ultimate line of where reality is will show itself. But
exactly.
The worst thing you can do is lock it in place, have one person or a small group of people decide what reality is, because I've learned over time that what was once reality at one point in time isn't always reality in the future.
Exactly. Exactly. So everyone that's tuning in right now, just remember, only those that lack moral and mental fortitude will embrace cancel culture or censorship or use the online mechanisms for suppression. Okay.
Yeah.
Those that lack real integrity. Because here's the thing, you know, I look at those people who openly embrace cancel culture and censorship, especially on the left, the latte drinking liberals, as people who were signing their own doom. And those on the right that embrace it, hey, I'll view the exact same way. And when you use it to weaponize or take down people or take down channels, one day it will happen to you. One day it will happen to something that you like. And the thing is, when you choose to be on the side of censor, suppression, termination, demonetization, using copyright or anything of that nature, you show yourself as somebody that cannot be trusted in the fight, and that you will use the system for your benefit until one day there's no one to speak for you.
Yeah, and so again, I'm happy that we've always been on the side of censorship bad, no matter who's doing it.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, to your point, it's like, I think another big issue is that, I mean, let's be just real for a second. The Democratic viewpoint is just absolutely collapsing in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're watching, like, do we even have an idea of who they're going to run in the next election, let alone the midterms? They've just been collapsing, or they just have not recovered from the election. And here's an issue that I'm seeing with a lot of people in the US right now. A lot of people are just put in this position where they feel they have to keep doubling down on an outcome that's never going to happen, that no one's ever going to agree with them on, but they've bet so much of everything. Some people have even gone the step further and literally bet their livelihoods on fake outcomes that they thought they could win, because the political tides were different in the past, and now here they are. There's a phrase I use that I think is really good for these situations, called being a half a brick apart from someone. And it's the idea that you can, if you build a house and it has to be, in the city, you have to build it very specific dimensions so that you're not over property lines. It's like, imagine that you build your house a half a brick over. You can't just move it back. You have to deconstruct the entire house to the ground. And so the more time you are building a half a brick apart, the more cost it is to redo everything. So if you built a whole house and you have to move it a half a brick over, you have to demolish the entire house and rebuild it from scratch, redo the foundation. So it's so much more expensive. And there's a lot of people, I think this is, to me, this sort of explains, at least in my own mind, the assassination attempts. It's people that have doubled down too many times, and they don't have more places to double down except using violence. And again, it's something we're dealing with, but it's not just us. It's a lot of people are dealing with this manifestation.
Exactly. So keep your heads on a swivel, folks, and drink that water, and be careful out there, because we have the censorship wave coming at us. And if you think that just because Google said channels are going to get reinstated, I got a bridge to sell you. Anyways, we're moving on. We're moving on to our next segment of the day. Before we do, let me just make sure we got everything all clear, live, and direct. Good to have everybody here that's tuning into Hardlands Media. We got ourselves an awesome community here, and I want to give a huge shout out again to everybody that's been sharing our content on social media. Do appreciate it. I have been getting a lot of responses from people saying, like, "Hey, I'm noticing your channel's getting terminated," or "Hey, I noticed that I'm not getting notified." It is it's something that we can't control, like if you're not being notified or made aware. So please, everyone, make sure you're subscribed to us on Kick, Rumble, X. join us on Patreon, Instagram, Facebook. That way you follow us on all of our social medias and you keep Hardlands Media alive, especially by being a Patreon supporter, because you keep our costs down low, as you should. So there you go. Can we start a Star Trek Deep Space Nine group? So long as there's no censorship, I love it. I would be more than happy to have that group dancing around. So there you go.
Speaking of that, I remember there's a space game where technology stagnates, not because of certain reasons, but because DRM was such an issue, no one could make anything new. That reminds me of like Nintendo trying to enforce copyright on anyone that summons a battle pet.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing.
Yes, Nintendo. And actually, we'll be talking a little bit about Nintendo. But first, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment of the day. Let's go. Let's talk about it.